Hi, am I audible now? So, hey guys, thanks for joining in. So, today we have Rahul and Akshay from Bowl.io to speak about careers in field of blockchain, right? So for a long time, the buzzword is Web3 and all the hype around it, crazy valuations and all that stuff. But how does a career in Web3 actually look like? A developer or maybe in marketing, or what are the stuff you could do in Web3? So we have like two really good experts here. They have been building this company called Bowl.io and they are very successful. So let's hear it from them today. Hi Akshay, hi Rahul. You guys wanna give us a short intro of what Bowl.io does?
Hey Ray, thanks for introducing, and thanks for the kind words, and thanks for everyone who's joined us to listen to this. Yes, like you rightly said, I think blockchain is the buzzword, and that also got us attracted to it. And we saw the potential, we saw the immense potential the technology has. So Akshay and I, we started Pole.io about later half of last year, and we've been trying to build. A quick intro of myself. I belong to the sports industry. I've been working with Star Sports and Hotstar for the past 6 years before starting up Bolt. And before that, I did my MBA from IIM Lucknow. And before that, I was a developer myself. Akshay and I both go back about 20 years to IIT Madras, where we were in the same hostel, so same batch. Akshay, I think you should introduce yourself and then we can start.
Yeah, thanks Rahul. Thanks Ray, and thanks everyone for joining us here. My name is Akshay Khandelwal, and I'm a co-founder of Ball.io along with Rahul and Neeraj. Just to quickly introduce myself, I come from a gaming sports esports industry as well. Prior to starting up Bold, I was with this company called One Championship and One Esports, and over there I was looking after the direct to consumer revenues. So I had the NFTs, gaming, and consumer products under my wings. Prior to that, I was with the McKinsey and Company. I was a consultant there for about 3 years, mainly consulting both public and private sector clients on commercial strategies, digital transformation type of projects. Did my MBA from INSEAD prior to that. It's a business school based in France and Singapore. And before that, I was actually in energy industry. I was a field engineer for the first 4 years of my career, and then leading the business development and sales for them in the North Sea area business. Originally a graduate of IIT Madras, batch of 2007, along with Rahul. And yeah, I mean that has been the journey, and very excited to be here, and very excited to share with you bits of our journey, but also in general the broader opportunities that the space has to offer for anyone who's interested to join the wave.
Great. Such diverse backgrounds. It's awesome to hear. So let's how did you guys like start with the Web3 space? Like, is there any particular story on how you get started with? Maybe you heard about Bitcoin or like how did this even start? Like just learning about Web3 and blockchain.
Yeah, I guess I can maybe go first on the story, and this was really interesting, right? That was back in 2018. I was sitting with a bunch of friends. It was kind of like a house party, and one of the guys. And back then, I was still with McKinsey. So I was a consultant with McKinsey, and there was this guy who was with BCG, Boston Consulting Group, a consultant as well. And he started talking about the blockchain space, and how he has basically quit his job 6 months back to be a full-time trader for crypto, and how he had already made well close to $1 million, which was pretty handsome sum to make in last 6 months, right? So I, of course, passively knew about crypto and blockchain space, and Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff like that, but not so much from a, didn't dive deeper into it, thinking that, oh, it's, just something, a new trend which is gonna, come and go, and but it was the first time when I interacted with someone who was, firsthand, you know, dive deep into this domain, and not only was able to, learn the technology and learn the power of the domain, and the infra, but actually, making a handsome income out of it as well. So that's when I got interested. Started reading about it initially on, what is it that the blockchain technology offers, and how is it different from whatever is existing in Web 2.0 infra, and how you program the money, and how it can be decentralized, and how the it's kind of like a movement against the whole centralization capitalism, right, in a way. So that was my introduction, and from there, of course, I became an enthusiast of blockchain. Did some investing myself. Once I made a few $1 million, but but yeah, I mean, definitely did some investing. But more importantly, I started looking at the different business models that were emerging in blockchain, right? Because again, the idea was uh, to do something where where I'm able to apply my skills, my expertise, whatever I built so far. So keep it relevant, but at the same time build in this space, right? And so that was kind of my introduction and my approach. Rahul, you wanna go next?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yeah. Actually, my introduction is not that worth the story. So I got introduced. I mean, of course, I had heard passively about it, but I got introduced when Akshay told me about the idea. I was blown away, and that's when I poured myself into it, and thanks to my background as a developer, back in the day, for about 5 6 years, I was able to go deep into the technology and understand really how the technology works, and that kind of opened the potential, because of course, because being the buzzword, blockchain and Web3, there are a lot of hype around it. But if you go beyond the hype, the technology is really promising, and it really is. When people say that it's the future of internet, it really is.
Definitely is. And for our users who do not know what bowl.io is, can you guys explain what you guys are trying to achieve, and and maybe in a few words?
Yeah, so we are just building a play to earn game on cricket. So our both of us love cricket. Both of us have been have understood gamers and gaming, and also we kind of understood the potential of blockchain, and all of these three things come together in a very meaningful way when it comes to the blockchain gaming play to earn. So the first part of our thesis, we kind of poured into all the different play to earn games and business models that were existing, and understood the likes of Axie Infinity. I'm sure some of you would have heard of it, and other play to earn games. And we thought that this is something that can be easily, and in fact in a better way, done in cricket, and that's what we're trying to build. So there are a bunch of games that will be coming out, uh, which are based on NFT and Web3.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and the space is growing exponentially. And so, for another thing is, you guys are based on India, and the crypto space in India is a bit tumbling, and there's a lot of like push from the government. So, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think it has to change, or do you see any sideways, uh, or is that troubling you guys as a as a startup?
Yeah, I can take that one. See, I mean, if you look at the the overall trajectory, from the government's point of view on the regulation, like regulatory side, it's definitely positive, right? Initially, they identified the digital assets, digital collectibles as an asset category, and they announced it taxable. Right, an asset is taxable, meaning that it's recognized by the government. It's not legal. It's not illegal, right? It's definitely legal. So that's number one. Number two was they introduced the marketing guidelines for the crypto companies, the companies which are operating in this domain, right? Because they of course want to educate the retail user. They want to protect the retail user, right? Um, because unless you are doing your own research, it's very easy to think that, oh, crypto is this quick money making machine. I'm gonna put a 100 rupee and it'll convert into 1 lakh rupees in 2 weeks or whatever, right? Which is not true. So the marketing guidelines become very important. That was again a very positive step. The third one was the compliance side, KYC, which is knowing your customer, meaning that the companies which are again operating in this domain would have to do a verification process for each and every customer that they're dealing with, right? Which is nothing new, right? You trade the stocks, you download any app which is in the financial domain. You have to do the KYC process, right? So definitely, the trajectory is positive. Of course, government, the key criteria they have is number one, they want to protect the retail investor. Number two, they want to stop any money laundering or terror financing kind of activities. And number three, they want to make sure that the crypto doesn't replace the INR, right, our currency itself, right. And for that, they are taking the right measures. Now there would be a licensing requirement which will come out, and it'll impact the whole ecosystem equally. um, the good thing is that, of course, the government sees that there are all these different companies who are, not only raising a bunch of capital, but generating revenue as well. As an opportunity for the government to, tax these companies and, actually, take the share of the revenue as well, which is definitely fair, right? Which is how it happens in the other industries as well. And the pace at which blockchain ecosystem is building, developing, and growing, right? It's definitely something that government has on its priority, and they're having a constant discussion with the different stakeholders of the ecosystem to come up with the regulatory landscape. So, long story short, I think from our perspective, we are very enthusiastic. We are very optimistic about the development of the regulatory landscape. Of course, they're taking a bit of a cautious approach, and which is good. But every time there is a step taken, it's a positive step, a step in the right direction. So that's our point of view.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Let's just hope for the best, right? Also, you guys have been. My next question would be: you guys have been in this, in the development space even before, Web3 started, and you guys learned about it. But looking back, if you had to start for a complete beginner, they had to start learning about Web3. They had to start learning about crypto, NFTs. Where should they start? What would be their first like building block you would?
Yeah, so if you have to start anywhere, right, you have to understand the ecosystem first, right? And that's my take on it. So it depends on what you want to achieve, but let's say if you're talking from a career perspective, because that's the topic of the day, right? What I would start with is understanding the entire ecosystem. What exactly is blockchain? How the technology works? And if you don't want to go too technical, you can just understand philosophically how the technology works, right? Because that's what is going to uh, introduce you to various opportunities or various possibilities that the technology has, right? If you don't understand it from the first principle, as they say, right, first principle thinking, then all you have in your knowledge base is basically hearsay and what people are telling you about it. uh, so that will be the first starting point. So I think A couple of very good resources that I have found personally being very useful are a couple of books. One is Mastering Bitcoin, and the second is Mastering Ethereum. I've read both these books, and these are like foundational if you want to get started on blockchain. And this is not only for the technical people or technical profiles, anyone who wants to enter the space, even if you want to become a trader, for example, right? So you have to understand the basics, and then second thing is you have to understand the things that are going on in this, like the industry as such, right? Understand the scope, understand what are the different types of use cases people are building, uh, what what are the best people in the industry building, you and that you can do easily with the likes of YouTube channels like Finematics or Whiteboard Crypto, who are I think the pioneers of making it super simple for people to understand what's going on, with the whole space. So that would be my starting point.
Is definitely a great answer. And glad that you mentioned about the technical side and the other stuff. So when you speak about careers in the field of blockchain, so are we only looking at developers who are learning Solidity and Rust and in developing, or other opportunities in other fields of blockchain that people, our audience doesn't know about yet?
Definitely, there are lots of non-tech opportunities, and we've been in the space. We've been trying to build, and we require a lot of skill set as a startup, which is non-technical, right? Anyone for that matter, there are analyst roles that people can play, who understand the space and who can understand how the blockchain can be used, come up with various tactical and strategic points of view. You could be a project manager, for example, right? So you don't really need to understand the technicalities, but if you understand a bit of blockchain, then probably it becomes easier for you to become a project manager, and you put yourself in the top bracket, right? One of the most important non-technical roles, I believe, is the legal role, right? Because this is an evolving field. Like Akshay also said that there are regulations coming in. There's a lot of confusion, questions, and even startups and corporates who are working in the blockchain space, they also need legal advice. So anyone who understands the space from a legal point of view, I think that's probably one of the top legal roles that will emerge, or they are emerging in space. So there are a lot of non-technical roles. Marketing, for example, right? It's completely different from. So I've been a marketer myself. I was a marketer with Star Sports. I dealt with large brand campaigns like Panga and other IPL campaigns and everything, right? But and also I've been in Hotstar. I've done that Web 2 marketing as well. Uh, but Web 3 marketing is completely different, and it's it's like if you have the principle of marketing is first you have the product, and then you understand the space, and then you put your product into use and action, right? So that's traditional marketing. But in Web 3, it's completely flipped over. So it's you build your community first before building your product, right? So marketing so Web3 marketing for that matter is a skill set that is different from Web2 marketing or any traditional marketing. So if you gain that kind of experience, you put yourself in the top bracket in blockchain. A lot of non-technical roles, to answer your question.
That is true. That's very true. So you spoke about Web3 marketing and how building communities are a big part of it. And this was not a role that was there 10 years ago, right? People weren't building a Discord communities and stuff. And Web3 has really bought into this communities, into this picture. So why do you think it is very essential when you're launching a product to have a community around it, especially in the Web3 space?
Akshay, you want to take that?
Yeah, let me take that. And so before I answer your question, Ray, maybe also let me take a step back. Right, what is Web3? What is this blockchain technology? And what is the decentralization means? Right. The simple idea is that the assets that used to be centralized, the decision making that used to be centralized, right, is now given to a community, and the community can make their own decisions, right? They are a part owner in a product, in a platform, in a journey, and they can make their own decisions on the way, right? Give you an example. One of the biggest use case that we are seeing is in the finance, right? We have the centralized banks. We have other smaller banks. Every country would have their own national bank, which is where typically, let's say, the interest rates, the repo rates are defined, which is where the whole how much money we need to print, and how much borrowing can happen and lending can happen, and how much spread is there, all sort of decisions are being made, right? And the community, the society, a common man is supposed to simply just follow those rules, right? You can't question. In most of the cases, you don't even understand, right? You just follow whatever the bank is telling you, that listen, you open an FD and you will get, let's say, whatever, 3%, 5% interest. You just accept it, right? Decentralization, is a movement against exactly that, right? It says that there's no need for centralization. If there is something which directly impacts the community, then let the community make the decision on that, right? Let the community be the owner, right? So that's the fundamental principle. Now, coming back to your question of why community is important when we are building a project in Web3, is the very idea that if a community believes that there is a space in which or there is an opportunity to build something, to make a change, right, and they feel that the need is there and they want to be a part owner of that particular project, that particular product, that particular movement, then there is a space for that in the Web3 domain, right? Then there is a potential in that particular project, right? Unless your community is buying into it, unless there are people who see the value in it, there is no point of building something which is decentralized, because who's going to be owning it, right? Decentralization means that there is no central owner. There's a community. There are people who are owning part of the project, right? So unless there is a community who supports that idea, that very thesis, on day one, actually on day zero itself, right? There is no point of building something. And for this particular reason, it becomes very important. And, kind of like a step one to first, build a thesis, market it in the communities, right? Make it popular, spread the awareness about it. Let people know that, listen, this is what we're doing. This is why it's important. This is why it's different. This is why it adds value. And do you want to be part of this, right? And that is then the job of, let's say, a community manager, right? So because you bring them on board, with this idea, and they kind of then become your early supporters, even your investors in certain cases, and they push the project forward, right? You literally bootstrap your project through the community, right? So that's the reason why the traditional approach towards marketing doesn't work in Web3. Web3 is more about build a community first, get the buy-in from the community, and then build a product, right? And allow community to then make decisions on that product as well, on how it's adding value, right? And that's why if we talk about the different jobs or career options, career tracks that Web3 has to offer, right? In my opinion, community manager role is a very strong role, right? And you rightly said this kind of role didn't exist 10 years back, not even 5 years back or 3 years back, right? But right now it's a core role, it's an essential role for any Web 3.0 company, because you have a community, you need to build it. B, you need to keep it engaged. C, you need to translate it into the users and deliver the value. Be in constant communication, manage them well. They need to be heard at every point in time, because they are the one for which you're building the product or building the platform, right? So that's why the role of a community manager is a very important one, very crucial one. The beauty is that anyone could be a community manager, right? Like, so long as you have a a flair for networking, you like to, let's say, interact with the people and help people. You're a extrovert in certain sense, in your own personal circles, professional circles. You could be a community manager, right? And the simple skills that you need is you should know about Discord channels. You should know about how Telegram works. You should know how Twitter works, because this is where these communities are being managed, right? So I think, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry for the long, answer to your question, but yeah, I mean, this is why a role of a community manager and the reason for building a community is very important for any Web 3.0 company. I hope it answers the question that you asked, Ray.
You're not audible if you're trying to speak.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, yes. Audible.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about this, guys. My current got cut and I got disconnected. Uh, Sorry, let's just pretend that never happened. And yeah, you guys were speaking about building a community, and I think that is very true. Like for example, during Web 2 and stuff, it's very important to have a customer feedback loop when you're building a product. And I think what Web 3 has brought to us is that it has brought this like compulsion to create a community and have that feedback loop forever when you're building a product, so you know that you're building the right product for the right customers, right? So my next question, I think, would be a bit on a different space, more on the topic. Is that how one way to get started with the Web3 space is like to grab internships and explore the space as much as you can. So if you guys are looking for interns and stuff like that, what should our audience know before they apply? Are they supposed to be really good in development? Are they supposed to like know the essentials of the of the space of the blockchain space? There's a few things you should educate our audience about before they apply, start thinking about a career in blockchain.
Yeah, I can take a crack at that. So, as we discussed, there are a few different tracks if you want to enter into the Web 3.0 space, right? You could take a non-technical route, which is, let's say, a community manager, which is more on the marketing side. You could take uh, you know, a technical route, which is, the developer itself, right? With this already to Rust, a blockchain developer. You could still take, a traditional developer route because, all the Web3 apps do need a front end and a back end, right? There are always components of Web 2.0 that are there. You could be a designer, which is again a very highly underrated but highly valuable skill in the Web 3.0 space, right? This is all about digital assets and owning the digital assets, right? So these assets have to look, very appealing to the audience. So the design is another, core part. There is, the product manager type of roles. Again, a lot of gaming projects are coming like ourselves. There are, DeFi projects, which is decentralized finance. There are metaverse related projects coming
Bradley,
in. So,
I understand that
the
you went
know-how of
through.
the product, that is great as well. Now, there are a few things that one can do when they're applying for the internships. I think number one is try to understand what interests you more, right? If you are someone who's technical, then maybe a dev track is better for you. If you are someone who's extrovert and enjoys interacting with people, new people, is into networking and so on, maybe you should try for a community manager type of role. If you are someone who has a very you're very detail oriented and you have an eye for design details, you should probably try for a design type of role. There are opportunities available in of course in our company, but other companies as well, as you would look through it. Everyone definitely appreciates someone who can take an initiative, right? So for example, if you are applying for a community manager role and let's say you apply to us, we are chatting and you tell me that, listen, I've done so many different campus ambassador programs. I've actually built and managed a community of I don't know, chess players, or badminton players, or I don't know, music enthusiasts in my own college. While we were offline, campuses were closed. I actually created and managed a group of 200 students or 2,000 students on Telegram or on Discord. I think those are the kind of the initiatives that we are looking for, right? You need to definitely take that first step yourself and prove that you have established that this is the route that you want to take, and you have already done accomplished something in that particular domain. You want to take a developer route, right? A dev's route. It's very easy, very very easy if you're a dev to pick up, the simple toy smart contracts, right? You can try to write a white paper. You can write, a couple of smart contracts, and by the way, it's all available, for free, right? You'll see the videos on YouTube. Like there are these 2-hour videos which will tell you how to set up an NFT marketplace, right? So take that initiative, familiarize yourself, on, what is a smart contract, how does it work, how do I write it, what are the benefits, pros and cons. Try to get some exposure so that again, if you're applying for a dev's position, you can tell, the prospective employer that, listen, I've already taken initiative. I've already, I understand how smart contract is written. Here is what I've done. Here is my Gitbook profile. So that helps. If you want to take a role more towards the design side, then of course you have a profile on one of the platforms. Showcase what previous work you have done, right? That helps. But yeah, I mean, long story short, from our perspective, we definitely appreciate people who have taken initiatives, and shown some commitment in the Web 3.0 space, right? And by the very definition of it, the resources are out there available, right? They're available for free. You don't even have to spend a single rupee, because it's all on YouTube, it's all on Twitter, it's all on different blogs, it's all on Gitbook, GitHub, and so on, right? So if you have an inclination, you want to take an initiative, you can, right? So get started. Figure out what track is for you, right? Which matches your personality, which matches your interest, where you really enjoy building, and take some initiatives, and then definitely flaunt it. Don't shy away to flaunt it in front of the employer that, listen, this is what I've done, and this is what I accomplished, and I think this is how I can add value to your project, right? And to be honest, there are many, many, many very interesting projects out there, right? So opportunities are definitely there. So I think, yeah, I mean, if I were a student, or I were interviewing someone, for intern position in a company, like, that's how we would go about it.
Awesome, awesome. I think that was definitely very insightful. And again, I think I would shift sides again and ask a more technical related question. So Bold.io, as I understand, is working more on the Polygon chain. Is there a reason for that? Or is it only because of the gas fees, or is there more to it than just that?
Yeah, so very good question. When we in the starting of our journey, we actually spent you know quite a few resources to understand what is the right chain for us to build, right? What is the right protocol for us to build? And there were a few options, of course, starting from Ethereum, but the gas fee is high and the network congestion and whatnot wasn't very efficient for us to, build on Ether. We considered Solana, we considered Polygon, considered Avalanche, among we actually considered Tejos as well. Um, and the conclusion um, at which we arrived was, threefold. We wanted something which is definitely efficient, both in terms of gas fee, but also in terms of transaction time, right? So by the definition, Polygon is L2 and works on, proof of stake rather than, proof of work. So that really helps. Uh, Number two uh, was the decentralized nature, right? There are chains which are there, but not really. They call themselves decentralized, but they're really not, right? That's an issue there. If the if 7 nodes are controlling, let's say more than 40% of the the ownership of the chain, and they can at any point make a decision to, let's say, shut it down and upgrade the infra, and the other users are left wondering what happened, right? So that doesn't help. So a true decentralized nature, that was very important for us. And number three was the user experience and the retail user, the liquidity as well, right? Which is highest on the EVM chain. Again, the part of it was also the accessibility to the developers, right? The Solana, which is on the Rust, the skill set is still not that mainstream yet, and the infra that exists around it, Solana is a rather new chain, so the infra that exists around it is not so established and not so advanced. Um, so there is a lot of burden on the project itself to build the infra around it ourselves versus any EVM based chain, because Ether has been around for a long time and a lot of development work has been done, a lot of infra has been built around it, right? It helps us to build a product, right? Like we can, from a game perspective, we can focus on just building this core game, and the supporting infra, let it be, let's say the wallet journeys, the on the ramp, off the ramp, the analytics, or the performance, and the guild infra and other aspects are kind of taken care of. So that was the analysis that we did back in the day. And the top two competitors, to be honest, we had were Solana and Polygon. And we decided to then go with Polygon, given the infra was more mature, right? That's how we arrived to that decision. I hope it helps, Ray.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Hi, Rahul. Hi,
Hi,
Akshay.
Chandan.
Yeah, it's great, man. I mean, sorry I couldn't open the show, but it's been like a wonderful thing. I've been like listening, and I mean, actually, I was someone who have considered being a part of the community side of. I am from a commerce background, so I'm into managerial studies. So that's where I have made this decision. Let's say I was like extremely interested to be a part of the Web3 communities as a part of the careers that you were talking about. So I see a lot of association, and I got it makes a lot of sense though. Yeah, I must say.
No,
Uh,
it's great, man. And Chandan, I mean, as I was saying, it doesn't really matter what you study in the university, right? Because all these resources are available; they're out there, right? So, for example, one of the senior, very senior, I must say, blockchain dev that we are working with is actually a CA, a chartered accountant by profession. So he did a CA, he
okay.
was doing his practice, he heard about this whole blockchain thing. He started training himself to be a dev, and like literally right now he has, yeah, he manages a team of, 8 to 10 people, 8 to 10 developers, and he
Are we
develops himself. He's a
talking about
developer.
Akshay?
Sorry,
Sorry, are we talking about this person who manages blockchain school?
uh, I'm not sure. Like his name is Dipesh. I don't know if that rings any bell.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we also know a surgeon who's also trained himself to be a blockchain expert. So the knowledge is out there. I think that's the beauty of blockchain as well, right? Or beauty of Web3, that the ecosystem is kind of bootstrapping itself and helping each other. There's a lot of that community feeling and feeling of pulling each other up so that we can all benefit, and there are a lot of resources that you can just use and become an expert.
Understood totally. Ray, do you have more questions? Uh, I don't know. If you're speaking, you're not audible. Okay, no problem. Uh, Rahul, do you have anything more to add before, like, maybe before we end the session? Like, what are some of the most amazing things that genuinely you feel you felt so amazed when you got to know?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I think sorry, I don't know what is wrong. Every time there's a huge conversation, I open my mic and it doesn't speak for some reason. I'm very sorry about that. So yeah, let's move on, I guess. But great answer, guys. Especially like if you just 2022, I think you can just like open YouTube and learn whatever you want and become expert in it. I think that's the best part of it. Moving on to NFTs, right? So NFTs on the major category today, I think you go randomly and speak to people because JPEGs, uh, I can just text password, right?
I'm not sure if it's just me or is anyone else able to. understand.
So, network is bad for him. Rebhav, the network is too bad.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, slightly better.
Okay. Okay. Let me just. Yes. So let's talk about NFTs for a moment. So how do you guys differentiate? Is it right to invest in NFT projects like in 2022? Is there any way to differentiate the scam ones from the good ones?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and something that I would say should be on the top of everyone's mind, because there are so many scams. I mean, if you ask me, a majority of the projects that are running right now could be considered either overhyped, no utility kind of projects, or scams altogether, right? Um, so NFTs are definitely actually NFTs, the way we have been being fed about NFTs, these art pieces that bored apes and or whatnot. So these are just pieces of art or pieces of internet asset that people buy and speculate upon, right? So that's actually a very misunderstood uh, definition of NFT. NFTs are indeed I think, to my mind, they are the building blocks of the future, and they have tremendous use cases, right? The most important use case being, the protector of intellectual property, and opening up the entire, the creator economy, as we call it, right? So without having any middlemen, uh, which happens in web 2, which happens where you have all these mega corporations who kind of act as the person who are between you and the creator. In web3, NFTs actually enable the creator economy by just putting the artist along with the direct purchase, and also protects the royalty incomes also. I mean, the way the NFTs are made, uh, if someone creates a piece of work, so NFTs are essentially just certificate of ownership of a file on the internet, right? And if someone creates that piece of work, and that travels, that gets sold, and that gets sold, and that gets sold, in the earlier scheme of things, the original creator only gets paid one time, right? The original time when he or she created and sold their piece of work. But in NFTs, they get paid perpetually every time their work is traded. So uh, so so that's the philosophical answer to why NFTs are important. But it's very important to also understand which uh, projects, as such, you have to look at a project level, which projects have the utility use case built in, and if there are any long term use cases which are attached or associated with that NFT. Those will be a very good investment to make right now. Whereas maybe above over 90% of the projects that are going on right now would probably, if you dig a little deeper beyond the hype, would probably disappear without any utility in the near future, right? So it's very important to make that effort to understand what that use case is, what that project is all about, and what are their long term roadmap, how they want to build the use cases, utility of those NFTs.
So this is great. Maybe just add a couple of things here, Rahul. I mean, the example I would like to take this opportunity to just discuss, the NFTs that we are doing at Bold. and the use case that we have, right? So this is a play to earn cricket game, right? And if I really just you know dismantle it to the basics, it's a game which is built on cricket, and you are allowed to able to compete with other players, other people who follow cricket. You apply your knowledge of the game, and you win reward, right? While you are doing all that, you can also own the game itself, right? In-game assets. What are these assets? They're coming in three categories. There are player cards, there are stadium cards, and there are booster cards, right, which can increase or decrease the players, right? So you can actually own these assets while you participate in the game, and every time these assets are being utilized into the gameplay, right? Example, let's say if Chandan owns the Lord Stadium card, and let's say if Ray owns the uh, Virat Kohli card, anywhere else in the world, anyone is using these cards in the gameplay, then these people they receive the royalty or they receive the rental income on these assets, right? And the beauty of the setup is we build the game in a way that people will have to use a stadium anytime they want to play in the game, right? So let's say if me and Rahul want to compete against each other in a player versus player mode, we have to choose a stadium. We end up choosing the Lord Stadium. We are playing a five-a-side card game where let's say was a you know Kohli and I throw Jofra Archer on top of it, and I give Jofra Archer some reverse swinging ball, then Rahul gives his Virat Kohli some aggression or some timing. Because we are using these assets, and because these assets are actually owned by, let's say, Chandan and Ray, uh, they actually receive income, passive income, even without doing anything, right? So that's the use case of the NFTs that we are building within the gameplay, right? It comes with a solid utility. Not only you are able to participate in the game, but you're actually able to generate the passive income. And it's kind of like owning a, right? You own an apartment, you can choose to live in it or you choose to rent it. When you rent it out, if someone else is utilizing it, they pay you a rental income, right? That's the precise mechanism that we have built in within the game that allows user to make passive income even when they're not using the assets. And of course, by the way, you can use your assets as well, right? So this is one of the use cases. How we have planned the NFTs and their utility within the gameplay. Right? You will find many other very interesting examples, but this is how we are thinking about it and we are building it.
Makes a lot of sense, right? And yeah, so I think my final one of my final questions should be: so what should people get a career in Web3, and if yes, why, right? Yes, Web3 is the future clearly, or the people should start learning Solidity and Rust and all these development languages very seriously, because maybe 10 years from now, do you think this is the only thing that's gonna be there, or do you how far do you think Web3 is gonna take you there? So like 10 years from now, do you see development only being in the Web3 side, or do you see other opportunities as well?
So I think only I only got part of your question. I understood you're talking about a 10 years horizon and if it's a good idea to jump into the space or not, right? And just picking that up, let me say that there could be no better time than jumping into Web3 than now. And you must have heard people saying that Web3 is where internet used to be in early 1990s, right? And building in Web3 and being the part of Web3 is kind of like building an e-commerce company in 1990s, right? You have a you start building an e-commerce company and you have 30 years to build the domain, right? You could be doing the manufacturing or the procuring or the marketplace or the last mile delivery or the return delivery. It's like this is how much scope is there in Web3 to build, right? Because the infra barely exists and the potential in the technology is such that it's here to stay and the use cases are real, right? there are countries who have started accepting crypto as their, legal tender, right? Legal tender in the country, right? So we were doing most recently Russia, you know, the Central American countries who are doing that. Some European countries are going to do that as well. You'll see that trend coming in, right? So the adoption of crypto will become, the blockchain technology will only become mainstream, right? And if you can get into that ecosystem earlier, I think you will have a definite advantage, right? You think about the corporate. You think name any names, but let's say the conglomerates that India has, the Reliance, the Tata, they everyone is going to come up with their own Web3 strategy, right? The first question people are going to ask is, "Oh, what are you doing about Web3?" And they will need that kind of skill set, right? That okay, who is someone who is hands-on experience in the Web3, and can I set up a you know new business and bring all these people and can be that brand, you know, not lagging behind, right? Not missing out on whatever is happening, right? And deliver value to my end customers as well. So no better time than now to enter into the space. And the beauty is that with you guys, most of your the students, I'm assuming, literally just starting your career at this point. So you have the luxury to choose, pick and choose what really interests you, right? And dive deeper into that domain. And it's not like you can just do one thing, right? You can do multiple things. You could be a coder and a community manager at the same time, right? Uh, and and the opportunity to build, opportunity to learn, opportunity to add value to the ecosystem is definitely immense.
I just want to add a little bit to that as well. So, especially for the tech folks, right? I mean, you would have heard of great demand in technology roles, and especially for blockchain developers, and and to be honest, that's going to grow much further, right? And if you enter at this point of time, the results are going to be exponential, because the very nature of blockchain tech is that the more experience you get as a developer, the better you can become, and not just in a traditional sense. Of course, the more experience you get better, but you get exponentially more in demand. Why? Because in blockchain, once you write code, it's immutable, right? So you have to write bug-free code. Now that in itself becomes a huge skill set if you can master it over, let's say, a few years, right? A couple of years, 1 or 2 years, and you prove yourself to be that person, and then your returns are going to be astronomical. Right now, if you enter as a fresher, of course the salaries and all those things are good, but once you hit that 2-3 years, and you prove yourself in that space, I mean, that's like sky's the limit. So I think this is an awesome time to get into the space for both tech and non-tech roles.
Yeah, and the best part is that all the exciting stuff is happening in this space, right? I mean, just for example, at Bold, we are building in blockchain a game which is based on cricket, right? So you're getting an experience of blockchain technology, gaming domain, and cricket as a sport, right? Like you're the hottest babe in the town, you know. So like where else would you get this kind of combination, this kind of exposure? I'm not just trying to for set up project, but there are so many exciting projects that are built in the space. So simple reason like why not look at what else is happening out there, right? Why not do the most exciting thing? And definitely the compensations are on the better side, right? You must hear every once in a while that people are getting package from these companies and putting in blockchain to the college freshers, right? It's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to learn, build a personal wealth, and explore the ecosystem further. Hey, Ray, I think you are on mute. In case you're trying to speak.
Yeah, I think that's very true, right? And yeah, I think we are facing a lot of technical difficulties today, unfortunately. But yeah, that is very true. Web3 space I think is growing a lot. And so, is there anything final you want to say to our audience about Bowl or about the space in general?
So sorry, I couldn't get the question, Ray.
I think he was asking about any final words, when it comes to career Web3. Pardon me if I got you wrong there. But
No, no, it's definitely like
yeah, yeah. My 2 cents are, we've already spoken about, and I can't stress it enough that this is the right time if you're looking for internships, if you're looking to start your career at this point of time. Seriously consider Web3 and blockchain as your career progression path. Of course, you have to think what's your personality and what's best suited for you. But all the roles that existed in the Web2 space are definitely going to exist in Web3 and more. So there is ample opportunity out there, and it's the right time to grab it.
that is definitely true, I believe. So yeah, thanks guys for listening in, and thank you both, Akshay and Rahul, for giving your time and coming here and speaking to all of us. And I'm pretty sure people who joined in have a better understanding of the space and how to like get into it rather than they have before. So thanks for joining in,
So
guys,
there is
and thanks a lot, Akshay and.
Yeah, no worries. It was a pleasure speaking with everyone, and for those who are still here, if you have any questions, if you have any doubts, any concerns, you want to more personalized guidance, feel free to reach out to any of